Hi kids, how are you? I am back with this beautiful and wonderful chapter 7 from the Honeycomb. Here is my book. And yes, I have to read for you this wonderful and exciting story called The Invention of Vita Wonk. Let me give you a brief preview of this. What is Vita Wonk? What is the chapter all about? Who are the characters? The character here is number 1 Charlie, and number 2 Mr. Willy Wonka, who is an inventor. Then we have the Wonka White, which is a magic potion, and the Vita Wonk, which he is about to invent. So here I go with the narration. Before I start the narration, I would just give you a small suggestion. Children, if you haven't read Roald Dahl, this is Roald Dahl. If you haven't read Roald Dahl, you have missed something. Because this chapter, The Invention of Vita Wonk, is an excerpt from the Roald Dahl book. And what I have got is the Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. I have the Chocolate Factory, and I try to keep most of the Roald Dahl books with me so that I read them from time to time, enhance myself, entertain myself. These are wonderful books. Just go out and reach out to them on any bookshelf, on Amazon, or anywhere you can find them in exhibitions and all. Just read these books. They are wonderful narration, lovely stories, lot of fantasies and magic happening. I think you will enjoy. So just take my word, you will enjoy. So just go out and reach out to them. So who are the oldest people you know? We are starting the chapter, and the chapter goes, who are the oldest people you know? What are the oldest things you have in your house? Probably something made out of wood, a furniture piece. In your city, town, or village, how old are they? We are talking about the oldest things available around us, like a piece of furniture, a cushion, a bed sheet, or anything which is old in your city, in your town, like say a monument, or you can even say a statue on the crossroads, anything, a building. How old are they? Certain things in my house, like a gramophone, is around 100-year-old. Yes, I've got a 100-year-old gramophone. And there are so many old monuments in the city I live. So have you ever wished that you were older? Have you ever wished that you were older? Sometimes children, they want to become old because they feel that their parents dominate them. Parents बहुत परेशान करते हैं, हमें तो old ही होना है. But it's really very difficult to be old. As a person, I don't ever wish to get old, because that will just come up with its own responsibilities, which I don't want to take. I just want to escape them. So I don't want to get old. Have you wished that you could grow up in a hurry? Sometimes, yes. When I was a child, I always wanted to grow up. Today, when I'm a mature person, a responsible citizen, I just want to get into that baby mode. मुझे वापस से बच्चा बनना है. I just feel that all the time. I don't want to cook. I don't want to do this. I don't want to drive. I don't want to do anything. So, have you ever wished that you could grow up in a hurry? Many times. The Invention of Vita Wonk. That is the name of the chapter, and I'm starting the narration now. Mr. Willy Wonka begins by inventing Wonka White, which makes people younger. So, what is Wonka White? Wonka White is it's a magic potion. What is a potion? It's a drink. It's a drink which magically turns people younger. You drink it, you get smaller, younger. You drink it more young. You drink more young. But Wonka White is too strong a drink. It is not advisable to just have a shot after shot of Wonka White. So some people disappear. They just vanish. Because their age becomes minus. Yes, supposingly I am 30, and if I drink, Mr. Willy Wonka tells me to drink only 10 ml if I want to become 20, and I gulp the entire bottle, I'll definitely disappear. And I won't like it, of course. One person actually becomes minus 87 because I think he drank 2 or 3 bottles of Wonka White, which was not at all desired. which means he's got to wait 87 years before he can come back. Yes, of course. Wonka White just works like magic on anybody. Anybody's age gets reduced quickly in a jiffy, but when you have to get back to that age, you have to patiently wait naturally by God's will year after year to get back into the age where you were earlier. So if anybody has become supposedly minus 87, so wait, you'll take another 87 years to get back to your zero age. That means then you'll start your life. Mr. Willy Wonka must invent a new thing. Now, after so many disasters and failures of Wonka White, Mr. Willy Wonka is ready to create something new, something exorbitant, something exquisite. A new invention is waiting. And what is that? Let's see. Mr. Wonka said, so once again, I rolled up my sleeves and set to work. I'm ready to just make or create something new. Once again, I squeezed my brain. That is Mr. Willy Wonka. He squeezed his brain, not literally squeezed it. He just started thinking, searching for the new recipe, a new formula. I'm ready to make something new, so I should have a new recipe. I had to create age to make people old. I want people to get old this time. Instead of young, I want people to get old. Old, older, oldest. Haha, I cried. For now, the ideas were beginning to come, and he started thinking about the new ideas which would make people old this time and not young, because that making people young could just let them go into minus of their age. It's a better idea to make people old. So what is the oldest living thing in the world, and what lives longer than anything else? So these were the two important questions which Mr. Willy Wonka asked whom? He asked Charlie, because he used to talk to Charlie most of the time. So he said, number one, what is the oldest living thing in the world? And what lives longer than anything else? So what did Charlie say? Get onto page 100. Charlie said, a tree. Was he right? Yes, because tree is a living thing, and there are so many trees across the world which are very, 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 very old. So right you are, Charlie. That's what Mr. Willy Wonka said. He said, yes, Charlie, you're absolutely right. But what kind of a tree? What kind of a tree would be the oldest one? Not the Douglas fir, not the oak, not the cedar. No, 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 my boy. He took names of three very, very famous trees across the world. One was Douglas fir. Just remember this. One was Douglas fir. The second is the oak, and the third is the cedar. So he said, no, none of these is the oldest. It is a tree called the bristlecone pine that is located on the Wheeler Peak of Nevada, the United States of America. So which tree he thought was the oldest one? The bristlecone pines, which was located on the Wheeler Peak in Nevada, that is the USA. You want to know where Nevada is? It's in the US. And if you want to know where is the USA, go for your globe. You'll be able to understand where is the USA. So this bristlecone pine you can find on the Wheeler Peak today that are over 4,000 years old. What is the age of bristlecone pine as told by Mr. Willy Wonka? 4,000 years old. It's quite an age. 4,000. Oh my. This is fact, Charlie. Ask any dendrochronologist you like and look that word up in the dictionary when you get home, will you please? Who is a dendrochronologist? Now, dendrochronologist is a man who studies the age and the types of the trees by checking out the rings on the trunk of the tree. If you cut a tree from its trunk, what will you see? You know what you will see if you have gone and seen in any museum or places like Forest Research Institute of India in Dehradun. You will check out many tree trunks. Just cut it like this with the trunk. I'm just forgetting the name, what it was. Cut it like this, and you can see the haphazard rings on the trunk of the tree. And these rings, they suggest or they tell us, or maybe the scientists, what is the age of that particular tree. The rings are not geometrically made, they are naturally made like that. They are not particular perfect rings, they are haphazard rings. But any dendrochronologist has the ability, has the study, or has the knowledge to tell you the age of any tree. So, according to Mr. Willy Wonka, the bristlecone pine was 4,000 years old, and he has taken the study made by any famous dendrochronologist. So that started me off. I jumped into the great grass elevator and rushed all over the world collecting special items. So after knowing that this tree was 4,000-year old, Mr. Willy Wonka jumped into his great glass elevator. What is a great glass elevator now? I suggest again, read this book. Yes, read this book. Tell kids and your friends and everybody to read this book. What is a great glass elevator? I will try to make you understand. It is a sort of time machine. It is a time machine which is made out of glass, and whenever Mr. Willy Wonka wants to get into his factory or any place in the world where he wishes to, he used to just get into the great glass elevator and he used to reach there. Interesting, super interesting, because I personally feel like having something like great glass elevator, because I want to see so many places without getting into the airplane, without getting on the road, without getting in a train, without getting on a ship. I just want to reach there. So great glass elevator is a superb idea for me. So anyways, Mr. Willy Wonka, he got into his great glass elevator and he rushed towards all those special items from the oldest living things. Now I'm telling you, here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 items. They have certain difficult words, but don't worry, when you will spell these words after me, you will be able to understand them better. You will be able to just spell them out better, and I'll tell you the meanings of all the words. Okay, so don't worry, let's start. Yes, so ready for the 9 items which Mr. Willy Wonka picked up from all over the world. Number 1 is a pint of sap from a 4,000-year-old bristlecone pine. I told you about bristlecone pine. Bristlecone pine is the oldest tree according to Mr. Willy Wonka. It's 4,000 years old. So a pint of sap from that tree. The toenail clippings from a 168-year-old Russian farmer called Petrovich Gregorovich. Yes, it's a name of a Russian farmer, and the age of the farmer is 168-year-old. It's quite an age. So one of the maybe an oldest farmer in the world, and his name is Petrovich. You can repeat it after me. Petrovich Gregorovich. So what did he pick up from the farmer? The toenail clipping. What is the nail clipping? This is the extended part of the nail, and this is the nail clipping. So he picked up the toenail clipping of Petrovich Gregorovich, who was a Russian farmer, 168-year-old. Then an egg laid by a 200-year-old tortoise which belonged to the king of Tonga. Tortoise, they have quite an age, but a 200-year-old tortoise laying an egg is something. Again, it's a big thing. So an egg laid by a 200-year-old tortoise which belonged to the king of Tonga. Then the tail of a 51-year-old horse in Arabia. Horses, again, I suppose they don't have much of an age. So 51-year-old horse is again a big deal. It's a big thing. It's a huge thing to happen because they don't live for that long. So he just picked up the tail of that 51-year-old horse in Arabia. The whiskers of a 36-year-old cat called Crumpets. Crumpets was the name of the cat, and the cats and the canines I mean dogs, they don't have much of an age. They last for supposedly 13, 14, 15, 16 max to max. As far as I know, my knowledge goes, they don't live for very long. So 36-year-old cat would be an old and older and oldest cat in the world. Her name was Crumpet, and the whisker of that cat was picked up by Mr. Willy Wonka. Then coming to the old flea. What is a flea? Flea is a small insect which lives in the bodies of certain animals like dogs and cats. And this flea lived in the body of Crumpet for 36 years. So oldest flea probably, because flea again is an insect and doesn't have an age, much of age, a few years maybe, but this flea was 36-year old. So he picked up that old flea. The tail of a 207-year-old giant rat from Tibet. So he picked up that tail of a 207-year-old rat would be enormous, and giant rat, that is what is mentioned. Giant rat would be too massive, too humongous and big rat, isn't it? And he picked up the tail of that rat, and that rat belonged to Tibet. The black teeth of a 97-year-old grimalkin living in a cave on Mount Popocatépetl. Yes, that is the way you pronounce this, Mount Popocatépetl. L in the end is silent. The black teeth of a 97-year-old grimalkin. What is a grimalkin? Grimalkin is also a kind of cat, a wild cat or mountain cat. Again, the age is important here because the cats, they don't live so long. So 97-year-old grimalkin would be too old and living in the cave of Mount Popocatépetl. The knuckle bones of a 700-year-old cataloo from Peru. So knuckle bones, what are knuckle bones? These are the knuckles. These. Yes, these are the knuckles and the knuckle bones and the age of the cataloo. What is a cataloo first of all? Cataloo is just like cattle, you can say buffaloes or cows or something of that species. And they were from Peru. Peru is a place. And the age of the cattle is 700 years. Again, it's too much of an age, so expect the cattle to be very, very, very old. And the knuckle bones. The strange things collected by Mr. Willy Wonka, and I will just quickly repeat what all he collected, the items, 9 items he collected from all over the world. And they were like a pint of sap from a 4,000-year-old bristlecone pine, the toenail clipping of a 168-year-old Russian farmer called Petrovich Gregorovich, an egg laid by a 200-year-old tortoise belonging to King of Tonga, a tail of a 51-year-old horse from Arabia, the whiskers of a 36-year-old cat called Crumpets, and an old flea living in the body of Crumpets, the tail of a 207-year-old giant rat from Tibet, the black teeth of a grimalkin who is 97-year-old living in the cave of Mount Popocatépetl, and the knuckle bones of a 700-year-old cataloo from Peru. So these were the 9 strangest items ever which were collected by Mr. Willy Wonka, the inventor, for his another beautiful, wonderful, probably a successful experiment, how to make people old. On the next page, page 101, we have got this comprehension check. These are a few question and answers which are important for part 1. If you want to understand part 1 nicely, you got to do this comprehension check. The first question is, Mr. Willy Wonka is a cook, an inventor, or a manager? So we all know the answer that Mr. Willy Wonka is an inventor. Wonka White makes people older or younger? Definitely Wonka White makes people younger. Mr. Wonka wants to invent a new thing which will make people younger or older. This time he wanted to invent something which makes people older. Can anyone's age be a minus number? Yes. If somebody drinks a magic potion or a magic drink like Wonka White, then definitely if you drink it in too much of a quantity, then your age can go in below 0 and that will turn it into minus. What does minus 87 means? Minus 87 means minus 87 below 0. That means a reduced age. Mr. Wonka begins by asking himself 2 questions, and what are they? What is and what lives? I will give you answer to that. What is the oldest living thing in the world, and what lives longer than anything else? That's it for now. This was part 1 narration. I hope you liked it. Do like, watch, share and subscribe my channel. And if you have got any kind of suggestions and questions, do ask me in the comment box. See you then. Bye-bye.